The EU has done nothing useful in the face of the unfolding c.o.r.o.n.avirus pandemic, a UK-based economist has said in a scathing a.t.a.ck in which he suggested the bloc's authority would be permanently eroded as a result, while hinting the crisis might actually make a Brexit trade deal easier to achieve. Mark Littlewood was speaking the day after the Eurozone's 19 finance ministers failed to agree an economic rescue package despite through-the-night negotiations conducted via a video conference, as well as the resignation of Mauro Ferrari, president of the European Research Council and the bloc's science chief, in frustration at the EU's response. Mr. Littlewood, Director General of the Institute for Economic Affairs, told Express.co.uk, "Nobody can be said to be having a good pandemic obviously, but the European Union is having a staggeringly bad pandemic. It's very difficult to see that the European Union has done anything at all of any meaningful help or import in this particular situation. It has exposed that what you need." Mr. Littlewood added, "I am desperately looking for a small silver lining in what is obviously a very dark cloud, but it might make the tensions around the Brexit process dissipate somewhat. When we're dealing with an international pandemic and an emergency which poses a considerable peril for the entire global economy, we are surely not going to run into the ground about getting a simple Brexit deal over the line. Maybe they can metaphorically, although clearly not literally, shake hands on that and get it done. There is a greater emergency to deal with getting us out on a simple free trade deal with other things to be negotiated afterwards." Addressing the resignation of Mr. Ferrari, who is believed to have grown frustrated because the bloc would not have been able to give him the authority he felt he needed to impose rules on individual Mr. Littlewood said, "What it does illustrate is that, when it really comes down to it in the context of a major emergency, nation-states still, ultimately pull the strings. When it actually hits hard, the European Union institutions and bureaucracy are just simply not equipped to have the authority or the means or the scope or the capacity to deal with these things, which need to be dealt with at a nation-state level. A good number of nation-states have had to take decisions which on the face of it start breaching EU treaties. A year ago we were all talking about the sanctity of freedom of movement. That's now like an argument from a completely different century. The EU has many faults, but one of its biggest is when it comes to any crisis, be it this one, the Eurozone, the migrant crisis, it is simply not able to deal with the major." He also suggested, as a result, the bloc's authority was being permanently eroded and that ultimately there would be some form of price to be paid. He explained, "People are still really thinking on a day-to-day, like, how we get through this. We are just beginning to get to the point of saying how do we get ourselves out of it? But when we will, there's going to be an inquest, I think, across the board for a whole range of institutions. And some might come out smelling of roses, but others like the EU will, I think, face a lot of questions that they will not be able to satisfactorily answer also. Similar questions will be asked at the World Health Organization, which probably could have done a heck of a lot more to stop this spreading so far. So although at the moment people are thinking on getting over the next 24 hours or the next 7 days and piloting our way through it, it's not going to be many weeks away before there will be a serious inquest, in the constitutional institutional structures that we live under, and which of them have been found wanting, which ones have stepped up to the plate. And I think the European